Hello from Kirksville, Missouri. This is Randy Carvin, and this is Rantin' Randy's Rant. Tuesday, another Tuesday afternoon. All right, it's 7/7/20. Our date for today. Just wanted to start out today with shit that went on that's not in favor of Donnie. I'd like to get the happy news out of the way. A federal judge has shut down the Keystone pipeline at Standing Rock for now. That's very good. Donnie's not going to like that one. Donnie at one time had money invested in that pipeline. Uh, the rumor is he no longer has that invested there. Let me see. Yesterday, Supreme Court of the United States ruled states can punish electoral college members who don't back winner of the state's popular vote. No opposition in their voting. So they all voted for that. That starts up. Of course, you know the Republican states are not going to punish, but it's the start on getting rid of that system that was supposed to prevent Donnie from getting where he got, and he got there in spite of it. I think I'll start on page 5. Uh, I have changed Kaylee's nickname to Kaylee Bullshit Barbie. Was asked about Tweety Turds defending the Confederate flag. Asked 3 questions. One was even about why didn't the White House fly the Confederate flag? She, of course, defended the tweet about Bubba Wallace was taken out of context. No, it wasn't. In the first damn place, he was the one that brought up the Confederate flag, and all his fellow NASCAR racers agreed with him. That was before the noose was even found. I don't know why mainstream media is not making a point out of that, but they weren't. Let's see what else I got here on page 5. Yeah, she went on to go blah blah, rush to judgment, uh, but she didn't answer the question. She never does, and she has a notebook of lies to refer to. And that I find ridiculous, but I can understand. It's hard to keep up with all the lies. Uh, and I also wanted to get out the latest Gallup poll. President Trump's job approval rating. Approval at 38%, disapprove 57%. Boy, Donnie, you tearing up those polls, ain't you? And I already covered that one. And I just wanted to let everybody know that Donnie is lying again. U.S. does not have the lowest mortality in the world. There are something like 13 countries that have a lower mortality rate from COVID-19. All right, let's go back to page 1 from Rachel. And I more or less just wrote this out myself from the doctors in the hospitals. Uh, and former White House officials, something has to be done. But we have to do that in the next few weeks. People have to get on board with wearing masks and social distancing and not gathering in large crowds indoors. If we don't do that, it's just going to get worse. And what about 4 months ago yesterday? Donnie promised testing perfect. Anybody that wants to test can get a test, and that's still not true today. And in fact, I got a question for you Republicans. Okay, nobody can get a test just because they want one, number one. Number two, he has the most tests in the White House and people with masks on him around him. And I also noticed on one of the Fox interviews, the reporter was a good 12 feet from him. Seems kind of like he's scared of COVID 19 too, even though he's talking the opposite. Phoenix mayors uh, say that FEMA refused to help with testing. Remember, he said that they needed to slow down the testing. Now we're seeing that come true. An aide to the mayor said that FEMA had responded to the city's most recent request by saying the agency was getting out of the testing business. I wonder why. Donnie said, please slow down the testing. Now we see he wasn't kidding. The Texas Tribune: 10 out of 12 hospitals in Texas, Rio Grande Valley are now full. 10 of the 12 hospitals in Hidalgo, Cameron, and Starr counties are now on diversion status, which means all their hospital beds are full, which means they have to divert to other hospitals those patients. Uh, the Valley Baptist Health System, which runs 3 hospitals in the region, said its hospitals in uh, Harlingen and Brownsville are above 100% capacity. Yeah, boy, that's going well. And Abbott's having to eat shit now because remember, he said they had abundant beds for hospitals in Texas. Bring it on. All over Texas, hospitals are reaching capacity or soon will. Tucson.com. As COVID 19 explodes in Arizona, Sonora, Mexico, the closed border to non essential travel. No, Sonora, Mexico is closing its border. Mexico tightens border with the U.S. as southern cases surge. As cases have increased in Southern California, Arizona, and Texas, Mexican border states have increasingly come to see that the outbreak in the U.S. is their biggest threat in controlling the epidemic. Americans remain barred from European travel as the EU gradually reopens its borders. Europe has their cases under control compared to South Carolina, for instance. 17,000 new cases. States that will have to step. The states will have to step up because federally it won't happen. Federally, they ain't going to do shit. They don't care. Otherwise, it will be out of control and no other options left. The window is closing to get it under control. If we did something in the next couple of weeks, got everybody on board with wearing masks in public, something can be done. But something tells me as long as Trump is running his mouth, that ain't going to happen. Cuomo: lie, deny, and defy. Kaylee bullshit Barbie doubles down at Donnie's stupidest statement, and yet the virus is 99% totally harmless, according to him. Well, that's strange. It has a 4.5 rating, so where'd you get your 99%? Right straight out of his butt again. Damn. Oh, like living in the Twilight Zone. Uh, she walks out with a notebook to respond to his latest lies. So many, she needs that notebook. Why? There's no national strategy. And as long as there isn't, they have no policy on it, so the pandemic can go on because remember, they've got that in the rear view mirror now. Uh, and we have the highest case numbers in the world with only a quarter of the population of the world. Uh, well, his putting America first has paid off for him. We're number one in COVID 19. Boy, you can be proud of that, Donnie. If you support Trump, you own it all. You can't just like parts of his nasty shit. You have to own every bit of it, like the statement about his totally harmless 99%. You own it. You support him. The racist tweets against NASCAR, you support him. You own it all, baby. He's stoking racial tensions in his bid to be reelected. Their president doesn't have a position either on the Confederate flag. Flying in 2020. We're in 2020, and they're still worrying about something that happened 153 years ago. Heritage, give me a fucking break. Damn. Then I tuned in Rachel, 700 children taken away from their families under public pressure. Trump signs an executive order to end family separation. Since that order was signed, another 1,000 children were taken from their parents. And that was after it was declared over in June of 2018. And what happened to the scumbags? You remember them all. One of them was Azar. He was in charge of that bullshit. And so was Katie Miller. What are they doing now? Azar is still with the Homeland Security and Task Force, no doubt. And Katie Miller is now, she went down and said she saw nothing wrong. If she didn't have children, maybe she would feel better. She wasn't bothered by children sleeping on the floor with aluminum blankets. She's now Vice President Mike Pence, press secretary. I guess that was the promotion she got there. Republicans, tell me why he's pushing the narrative it's totally harmless. He himself, Donald J. Trump, is surrounded by staffers wearing masks. They're all tested, as well as any guest that he will be close to, like in the Oval Office. They have to be tested. He is more afraid of COVID 19 than his base is. Oh, that makes sense. Cuomo, Shreveport, Louisiana, armed black men in Louisiana show up at a counter armed supporters of a Confederate statue. At the protest, the Black Gun Club, which is called Sleep Like the Rich, showed up because armed whites were tearing up the signs and using the N-word against the protesters. And I think that kind of squashed that a little bit when they showed up. That's one thing that scares the hell out of white Trump supporters is black men with guns, just like the guns that the white guys were carrying down there. Last story responds, this is from Rachel, to whether the older Republican senators would be attending the convention, the GOP convention. Chuck Grassley, not attending the GOP convention. Chuck Grassley said, not going to go. I'm not going to be going because of the virus situation. At least he was honest about it. Lamar Alexander, his spokesperson, said Senator Alexander is an honorary chair of the Trump campaign, but he will not be attending because he believes the delegate spot should be reserved for those who have not had the privilege before that he has. And he's the youngest, 80. The other, I believe it's three that are like 86, 84 in that age group. They haven't said yet whether they're going or not. Let's see, I got this from AM Joy on Saturday, so I'm not sure if that's a part of this. Yeah, it must be from something else, but let me read down through it quickly and see. I've got a Cuomo. Yeah, that was it wouldn't hurt to repeat it. The press briefing, their president says crisis is being handled as the CDC at that time projected nearly 148,000 U.S. deaths by July 25th. And as far as what he said about handling the crisis, that's not true and caused what is happening now in two things: inaction on his part and a failure to lead. Wear a mask and social distance. He tried to play off as China, Europe are getting under control. Uh, so we will. No, you have to do something about it, Donnie. You just can't wish it away or wait for it to disappear. That ain't gonna happen. Uh, and he has a thing for the Confederacy because that's a big part of his base down at Stone Mountain Park. Oh, I talked about that yesterday. Uh, and I'll just tell you, where I was born and raised in Atlanta metro area, we were taught in history that the Civil War was about state rights. And it was, I agree. It was about state rights to own human beings. Uh, and what is it you Republicans don't understand about that? I mean, I've got quite a few friends down there and they always bring it up. It was about states' rights. But they don't explain to you, yeah, to own slaves. And the statues and the monuments were raised during Jim Crow to remind them that they weren't in charge just because they got freed. They weren't going to be equal. And that was a reminder for them. All these statues, all this flag toting of the Confederate flag over the years, it took decades and decades to get rid of. We finally get rid of it, and Donnie's still complaining about it. Shit. All right, let me look over at the comments. Hello, John S. Hello, Mary. Hello, Teresa. Hello, Sherry. Hello, Bonnie. Let's see. I have to go back up through here. Okay. All right. We didn't have a big turnout, but a lot of times what happens is people are not allowed in my little blue room here. But you can make comments at the end of this. Oh, wow. Donnie's buddy in Brazil is now got COVID, according to what John S. is saying. So, whoa, it's going to be a good news dump today. This evening, I will be out here. I've got a few tasks to go take care of to make sure we get the bills paid on time. I am thankful, though, to be on budget billing when it comes to my electric. That's a big help during this season with that thing over there running 24 hours today. The temperatures outside today are in the 90s or low 90s. Tomorrow it's supposed to be 95 degrees here. And it makes the big difference on this air conditioner as that temperature goes up. It's harder for 5,000 BTUs to cool this place. But I was looking at 7,000. It wanted $299 for that air conditioner, and I don't know whether it would even fit in that window. All right, I'll let you go at this time. I will be putting my memes out. I am occasionally working on MeWe and Liker. I got to earn my way onto that. And one of these days, maybe I can use that to do some rants from. As a lot of you know, it's getting harder to find me on posts for some reason. Uh, when I'm about to do a show, particularly on Facebook, people are not getting notified. And unless you see it in the public feed or on my timeline, you might miss what time I'm going to be live and be on Facebook. So I don't know what's behind that. I know this YouTube show has grown to 161 subscribers. Thank you all for that. We are growing it for the Blue Dot family. That's what I'm all about. We have to get from the bottom up as many Republicans out of office this time that we can, because it's not just at the top in the president and the senators and the representatives. We've also got to work from the bottom and eliminate them all, send them home to think about the kiss in his butt. That's all it's about, you idiots. And people are sick of it. I see it more and more. He's dropping in the polls because all he does is stir up hate and division and racial tension. And yeah, his white base is going to go for that, but that's not enough people to win an election, Donnie, you big dumbass. All right, like I said, I'll have my memes out there because I am a Blue Dot family member. Uh, I do appreciate, though, getting your cards, your letters. That gives me some idea what's going on where you live, and your donations do help out a lot. Uh, Also, I want to give a shout out to Carol Gillens. 6 days ago, I figure around July 1st, she made a donation through paypal.me, and I just found it out last night. All right, I'll let you go with peace, resist, persist, and insist. Everyone, I know it doesn't seem like it's doing anything, but we have to get them word. We're tired of putting up with the dumbass in the White House. You Republicans, keep holding on to him. You're going home in 2020 when we flush the turd November 3rd. Vote blue all the way up and down the ballot. Have a good one. I'll see you tomorrow around 6 p.m. on my Facebook Wednesday show. Have a good one. Share this shit. Get it out there. Thank you.